Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. I meant to do a video a few days ago, October the 1st, but of course work gets in the way of things, other things get in the way of things. Work always gets in the way of real life, as we know. But I meant to do a video October the 1st because October the 1st was the 50th anniversary of the Thrilla in Manila, the fight between Muhammad Ali versus Joe Frazier, their third contest, and in my opinion, the greatest, most exciting heavyweight title fight of all time. The most exciting, certainly. Both fighters were past their best, but they put on just an extraordinary war, like an explosion. It's an incredible fight, absolutely incredible fight. It was won by Ali on a 14th round retirement, after 14 rounds, that is. Eddie Futch, Frazier's trainer, pulled him out with only one round to go. Frazier was completely spent. Over the preceding few rounds, he'd taken a terrible battering, especially in the 14th. He didn't go down. Sort of shades of, the Raging Bull, where the Jake LaMotta, played by Robert De Niro, gets smashed to bits on the ropes against Ray Robinson, and he says, "I didn't go down, Ray. I didn't go down." It was that sort of moment, and you might think that a retirement, very often a retirement in a fight is considered to be sort of anticlimactic, but this wasn't because of what had preceded it. 14 rounds of absolute pure action, okay? Now, during the build-up to the fight, it was in the Philippines, in Manila, obviously. The Philippines, which was under the regime of Ferdinand Marcos and his shoe-loving wife, Imelda, who had prided herself on her shoe collection for whatever reason. I don't know why, but there we are. We're all collectors to some degree, I suppose. And there were all sorts of not shenanigans, really, but there were shenanigans going on. Thinking about it, because a very good example of the sort of the way things were done in the Philippines under Marcos's regime is that there was a meeting between, for some reason, the head of police in Manila, who was one of Marcos's guys, and the various, Frazier's team, Ali's team, the various team members, and they were discussing the referee, which ended up being Carlos Padilla. And the chief of police took out his .45, put it on the desk, pointed at it and said, "The referee is going to be who we decide." And the others were like, "Yeah, all right, mate." Yeah, so there was that sort of thing going on. Probably not as bad as what Mobutu got up to during the Rumble in the Jungle, the Ali versus Foreman fight, which was, that really was dictatorship non-pareil. Really freaky. But Marcos was a dictator, essentially, and there was all sorts of corruption, all sorts of thuggery going on. Another amusing anecdote would be that Ali went to Manila with his side piece, a woman called Veronica Portia, who was I believe was a black model, very statuesque, beautiful model. Unfortunately, he like I say, that was his little side piece, because he was married to a lady called Belinda Ali, and Belinda got wind of the fact that Muhammad was shacking up with Veronica, jumped on a plane, went straight over there, and there was a big blazing row between the wife and the mistress. I think Ali took cover during that. I don't know, but strangely enough, maybe not strangely enough, maybe it's pretty predictable, but Ali ended up marrying Veronica, and that was his third wife. So I guess you could say Veronica won that particular Thriller in Manila against Belinda. But the fight was, they were both getting paid good money, big money. Interestingly, the build-up in terms of publicity wasn't as considerable as the first fight. First fight took place in 1971, was won by Frazier. He scored a knockdown against Ali in the final round, a massive left hook, and won a very close decision. In the rematch, which was less exciting, Ali outboxed Frazier over 12 rounds. So it was one apiece. The first fight was 15 rounds because World Championship fights in those days were 15 rounds. So they were 1-1, 1-1. In the second fight, by the way, even though it wasn't particularly exciting, certainly not in comparison to the first or the third, nowhere near as exciting, but I think, was it the second round, Muhammad really stunned Frazier, shook him badly. And yeah, I think Frazier was he saved by the bell, or the bell sounded early or something like that? I can't remember. I should have looked that one up. But there was some sort of shenanigan, some sort of mistake. It's a mistake probably made. And then Frazier regrouped and was able to go the distance. The third fight, there wasn't as much publicity, not like the first fight, which was called the fight of the century. And I think probably because they were both past their best. Now, Ali was, he held the title. He had knocked out Foreman, astonishingly, because that was considered to be an unbelievable upset, extraordinary upset. But he was still considered to be a bit past it, past his best. Frazier, having lost to Foreman and been, knocked over 6 times during that fight, he was considered to be, quite a considerable bit past his best. But as they say, styles make fights. That was the situation we had. They both went in there still looking to win what I think it was. Well, one of the journalists once called it the heavyweight title of each other. They were two guys who were definitely didn't like each other. I mean, from Frazier's point of view, he really did have a lot of dislike of Ali, because Ali had basically just taken the piss out of him. And during the build-up to this fight, Ali did that famous, he had a little rubber gorilla. He was punching it and saying, it's going to be a thriller and a killer and a chiller when I get the gorilla in Manila. He also called Frazier an Uncle Tom, which is as bad as it gets, I suppose, if you're a proud black person. And yeah, Frazier weren't happy. So he was out to kill Ali. I mean, he really wanted to smash him up. The fight itself, the first 2 rounds belonged to, I would say, Ali won them. Some nice counter punching, some very slick punches. Not as fast as in his prime, but nevertheless used his feet pretty well. Frazier doing his usual bobbing and weaving routine. I mean, Ali's punches were straight, Frazier's were wide. But Frazier had this thing where he'd come in close, tap you, just to sort of trying to find a little gap, and then bang. And that's the way he fought pretty much throughout the 14 rounds. In the third round, he did catch Ali with a pretty decent punch, which got Muhammad's attention. And in the fourth, I think he actually may not have seriously hurt Ali, but it looked like the tide was turning. Certainly the 5th round, if I remember, the 5th round was definitely Frazier's. He was putting it on Ali with some nice body punching, getting in close, bang, 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 and railing him. And those nowadays, in the 15 round era, the middle rounds would probably be, 6 till 10, wouldn't they be? So from the sort of latter part of the first third of the fight into the first half of the middle rounds, sort of, I suppose we're talking 4 till 7, 6 maybe, Frazier was coming back into it and really looking like he was going to, consistently put it on Ali. But Ali came back, certainly from about round 8 onwards, and it was nip and tuck. It was, Ali was winning the rounds probably on punches landed. Although when he fired his combinations, if you look at that fight, he'd fire, say, a 5-punch combination or a 3-punch combination. And if it was a 3-punch, maybe 1 would hit, 2 would miss because of Frazier's bobbing and weaving. He made himself smaller. If it was a 5-punch combination, 2 might land. Frazier was a lot more difficult to hit when he was on it than a lot of people remember. If you look at Frazier's fight, now that's not to say he didn't get hit, because yes, he did have that warrior mentality where I'd take 2 to land 1, and certainly as the fight wore on with Ali, he had that that mentality. I don't mind if you hit me, I'm still going to fucking whack you. And he did. And I think really they were relatively competitive up until the 11th round, when Muhammad did land a good. He seemed to buzz Frazier for the first time in the 11th round. In the 13th round, he was in the ascendancy now, Ali. He actually knocked Frazier's mouthpiece out. I mean, pinging out. I don't know whether it pinged out the ring, but. And then in the 14th round, he just beat the crap out of Frazier. Frazier could barely stand up. He was rocking and rolling, couldn't get out of the way of anything. Muhammad was both of them were absolutely knackered. They were shattered. It was bang, bang, and Frazier's wobbling all over the ring. And then he staggered back to the corner and Futch stopped the fight. Now, there wasn't really much celebrating going on. Ali said that it was the closest to death he'd ever been. He was absolutely shattered, as was Frazier. Frazier had swellings on his face, no surprise there. Ali said he was pissing blood for God knows how long. The body punches had chopped him up. Very good body punches from Frazier. He sort of paid tribute to Frazier, said what a great fight he was. Frazier, obviously upset and pissed off because he really wanted to do Ali in that fight. His immediate reaction was, let's get him back in the ring, let's have a fourth fight. But of course it never happened. And by this point, I think Frazier was absolutely done. He was finished. Muhammad was, he left a lot in the ring as well, but he would go on to fight for another, well, what was it? The last fight was 1980, wasn't it, against Trevor Burpick, which was a terrible shell of Ali, who was already suffering from Parkinson's disease. He would lose the title to Leon Spinks, win it back again to become a 3-time heavyweight champion of the world, which is kind of an extraordinary achievement. But that was the last really great stand by both these fighters. And the very definition of going out on your shield was exemplified by Joe Frazier. Amazing guts. Both of them. I mean, Ali won. Neither man on the floor in that fight as well. Unbelievable, really. So that's the Thriller in Manila. Like I say, I'm making this video on the 4th of October, so it's 3 days after the 50th anniversary of that extraordinary fight. If you've never seen it, I'm sure it's on YouTube. Oh yeah, I've watched it on YouTube. But go and see it. For God's sake, do yourself a favour and go and see it. In my opinion, it's certainly the best heavyweight fight I've ever seen. And there have been some great ones, of course. But tell me what you think. Go and have a look. Tell me what you think. Maybe you're a little bit older than I am, even, if indeed this is possible. And you remember the fight. You remember it happening, because I don't. I hadn't started. I was 75. I would have been 7, 8 years old. So I don't remember the fight. I watched it about whatever it was, 5 years later or whatever, when I had an old VHS tape of it. But let me know if you remember it, if you're old enough to remember it. Let me know what your opinions are. And of course, it's been written about extensively. You can find some great articles going into the minutiae of it, and it's a very, very interesting fight to study, the background and everything, So let me know what you think. Thank you very much for watching this video. Hit the like button if you like the video, and join us. Subscribe to Joe Stunner Boxing. Costs you nothing. Takes a second to hit the subscribe button. We've got plenty of videos for you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very, very much indeed. I will catch you later. Enjoy your weekend. Bye for now.